Welcome again, Keepers of Light, and I call you that because you are just that, Keepers of Light. So I'm going to try and make this brief. I'm on here to share what I saw in meditation yesterday, and what I saw was it was more like an analogy of sorts. I saw a visual of a man, and let's just to keep it simple, let's call him a 200-pound man, and he is the aggressor, and he's pushing at you, and he's coming at you, and you happen to be, let's say, half his weight, 100 pounds, and you're now pushing back, or trying to defend yourself and push back against him, but then he overpowers you, and then now you're stomped over or whatever. But then it's not funny, but so anyway, um you could also have like two men the same, or two people with the same weight, 200 pounds, and then they're pushing against one another. Now that you are the same weight, you're able to push back with the same level of force, and then really when you're looking at it, now you're at a standstill, and both of you are, if at anything, you're tiring yourselves out, but you're still doing the best you can to overpower one another, and for as long as you can. And then of course, eventually someone prevails, the one who has like more fortitude or whatever it is. And then you also have the option where now because you're realizing that, okay, you know what, I can't use that level of force because they have more of a force against me, then I'm going to use a tool or a weapon to defend myself, and then now decimate you that way. So I was being shown that, but the main message really was really about hypervigilance, and the reason why it was popping up for me and has popped up for me not just now, like several times in this lifetime, is just because it's one of the major and key elements to learning about your energetic signature and learning how to stand in sovereignty. Is learning how to is understanding how, what playing field that we're on. We're on this earth subjected to so many different levels of horrifying things that have happened to ourselves or people that we know, or not even people that we know. It could be, just what we're witnessing in terms of what's occurring around the world. And all of that is really going to create the self-protective mechanisms that constitute for hypervigilance. And hypervigilance in itself is kind of like this way of always scanning for, using your mental field to be scanning for problems. And in many ways, that really kind of equals dispersing your energy, um, your ener- dispersing the energies from your energetic field, and and they're dispersed in all the different levels of your vessel, be it that in the base level chakras, where we're talking about how you're disassociating from being in the experience itself, like being in this body to be the firsthand experiencer of the horrifying nature of existence that we have created because of the mind having, you know um, entertain all the insanity. So anyway, um, the point that I'm getting to here, and I don't know why I'm trying to rush today. I feel like I'm just rushing things. The point that I'm getting to here is that we, as keepers of light, are learning to be in our sovereignty, and we're learning how to be in our true states of empowerment. And this equals taking accountability and responsibility for our energy, where it is being, how it's being released, how we are guiding our energetic field, and how we are standing within the center of our beingness. And hypervigilance is something that every single human being has some level of experience with, to varying degrees, depending upon, what level of trauma that you have experienced. But it's kind of like there's no escaping it, really. just when you think you've seen like the worst of the worst horrors, then there already is, stemming from there, more versions of an even more horrific um, manifestation of, insanity. So the message here is really about taking our power back. Um, I was talking about if we're looking at it, if I was talking about hypervigilance in terms of looking at it as an energetic um, tool, um, or awakening, a tool of awakening. Because if you're able to look at those aspects of yourself which are hypervigilant, that part of you that's hypervigilant, that's out there scanning for problems, looking for how things could go wrong, trying to project into the future a different version of heart of what you would constitute as not what you're not wanting to happen. How we, if you're able to step back from that and to see how that in actuality is really the source of disempowerment in your life, then you can begin to make the shift from moving away from scattering your energy to now gathering your energy back into your vessel. Um, Somebody had mentioned that you can't skip over certain things, and that's the main reason why. And this person was right. Like someone had made a comment a few days ago about that. You can't skip over certain types of healing because those because if you do, then you're now not allowing yourself to reclaim the level of sovereignty that you can't have as an experience. And that would be addressing the how your body, let's say your body, or let's say your vessel, and looking at all the different aspects of energetics within your energetic system, your vessel, and seeing how it is that you can reprogram what you are believing, and about the many ways in which the idea of power has been wrong and has been inaccurate. So here we are being presented with an opportunity to defend ourselves by weaponizing ourselves, as though that itself equals a solution to ending the or decimating the problems that we're having. However, when you're looking at it from the higher perspective, you can see that by engaging in the destruction of the the structure of life itself, then now you yourself have become a part of the problem. And we can also see from the analogy that I presented earlier how pushing against the structures of energy which we are observing as being detrimental to us, but by pushing against them, it doesn't necessarily mean that now we're winning anything and that we are now changing anything. If anything, it just means that we're at a standstill and we're keeping things as is. And if we are now to look at it from a logical perspective and assume that it is the opposite of what we're doing and what we've been conditioned to do, and what we've been conditioned to believe, that that it is actually a false sense of security and a false sense of empowerment to assume that by staying within this state of beingness, which equals dispersing our energies, is something that is empowering to us, when in actuality it is not. Sorry, there's about to be a quick interruption. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. 5 minutes. So, okay, so yeah, so we as keepers of light, we're learning about sovereignty. We're learning how to, with awareness, and the component of awareness is more so about being willing to gather all the energetic component, which is consisted of your total the total composition of yourself as how you are perceiving it, that you're willing to stand and in the presence of the entire of your beingness, and that you're willing to no longer run from the experience of 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 getting of reclaiming your energy. See, the thing is it is like there's actually a fear about that, and there that's actually the illusion. The illusion is that is that by is that you have to escape this existence here. And that's one of the things too, like because for me it's like what I felt is like wanting to just bail, you know. Like I've been wanting to bail, and how it represented itself is that there's less of an embodiment to my experience being here, less of a presence, and therefore also less of an ability for me to do exactly what it is that I'm doing here right now, which is to just speak from my heart and to speak from my soul. There is less of that as an experience to what you're having here when you're believing that you're believing the illusion that running away is a solution, that pushing against is a solution, that decimating one another or decimating what it is that you're against is a solution that will help you live from an empowered state of being, when in actuality it's the opposite. The more you push against the energies that around you that you don't agree with, the more it is that they remain there, and the more it is that you actually start to feel less empowered, and the more hypervigilance you have, the more disempowered you feel, because now you are engaged in focusing your energy on more and more of those same things that you're trying to escape. It actually doesn't make any logical sense when you go down the thought stream about some of the solutions that have been presented for us here, to help shift our realities and improve our situations. It actually makes more sense to be able to step into the presence of this moment and to be able to reclaim that power that you have, which only exists within this moment, to be able to stand from that point of reference, which then actually works to do what it is that we were intending to do in terms of pursuing a solution to the problems that we're having. To stand within the presence of our entire beingness means that now we are more empowered than we ever have been. It also means that now we're more prepared than we ever have been, because we are now engaged in having solutions that are not just factoring in all the what the mind is supposing are solutions to the problems that we're having, when in actuality that's just a limited um, a limited number of solutions that the mind can present to any problem. Really, if you're looking at being at the state where now you're ready for whatever it is that's coming towards you, and that you are having more of a ability to address whatever might come up as a situation, the best way to do so is to be within within your sense of empowerment, and which also just means to reclaim every single bit of power that you've given away, every single bit of power that you've been told to give away. Why? Because, oh, there'll be some lie behind it. Oh, because um, now that you have this thing in your pocket, then now you're empowered, and now you have a solution when such a thing happens. When in actuality, it doesn't solve anything. It can actually be the reason that now you're more incarcerated than you ever were. That now you're, as a result of following that suggestion, that now you are imprisoning, setting yourself up to a future of imprisonment. So, um, I kind of feel like I don't know. I've been feeling a little off like these past couple of days, but these messages are still trying to come through me, and so I'm just gonna keep coming on here until I get comfortable again. I do feel as though like it's just gonna be a matter of time, a matter of me feeling more comfortable, and not so much because what's happening is I can actually like, okay, so I think what might be happening with me is that there's like an upgrading happening to my energetic system. So it's almost like everything's running at the same time, like my monologue, the visuals, like what I'm seeing, like the inner vision, the the analysis, the the astral journey, like all of it seems to be all occurring at the same time. And then I'm trying to like sift through it all, and then be able to come on here and present. But then it's all about practice, and it's all about me being willing to do so regardless of the fears that I have had. If anything, like what I've learned from my journey here is really how this hyper vigilance is really how it is that, and how to master hypervigilance is understanding the role that fear has. And so if you're kind of like wondering like, oh, what is it that I'll be hypervigilant about, it's really just all the different aspects of fears that you have. And there are many basic fears that we all have in common. For the most part, we have in common the same fears. So starting there, just starting to watch yourself and to observe and see the different ways in which you are trying to protect yourself. And then also to realizing that what you once thought was protecting you isn't actually protecting you. And I think that's really like the key message here. What you once thought, or what you even now believe, because you're still carrying it within your energetic system, was the solution to your problem, is actually the opposite of that. And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, if you're still having it present in that way, that it's now overtaking you, overtaking your energetic system, then it just means that you're not seeing the other side to things. And sometimes how this polaric existence works is that we're there's just this big picture about how we're experiencing one side of things, and that we just haven't yet allowed ourselves to experience the other side of it. And so it kind of requires us to be able to be willing to relook some of the beliefs, to relook the patterns of thinking that we have been engaged in. And sometimes it really just equals plugging and reprogramming those same beliefs with the exact opposite belief. Not necessarily so that you incorporate a new belief, but more so that you start to see the full picture of what that situation or what that belief is presenting. Because once you start to see the full picture, then you start to feel it. Then you start to regulate, and reclaim the energetics which were composed beforehand of you dispersing your energy. But then now, because you're allowing yourself to engage in a process where you are willing to see what is different than what you have been presented as a solution. If you're willing to see that, then you are now also willing to reclaim what lessons that that aspect of reality has to offer you, and that in that way you are reclaiming more and more power about that same situation that you have been in. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it here, and I'm looking forward to the next session. All right, talk to you soon. Until next time.